Hi guys, okay, so welcome sa topic natin na dynamics. So yung first topic na pag-uusapan natin under this subject is about rectilinear motion. So in general, meron tayong two types of motion na pag-uusapan. So one being the rectilinear motion and then the other one being the curvilinear motion. So the difference is kapag pinag-uusapan natin yung rectilinear motion, so we are actually dealing with particles that are actually moving in a straight motion or straight path, no? Pag sinabi naman natin curvilinear motion, so ito yung general motion wherein the particle is actually following a certain curvature. Okay? So anyways, mag-focus lang muna tayo sa easier one which is about rectilinear motion. So under this one, no, we have categories, no, types ng motion pa. So yung first one is yung bodies that are actually moving in a constant motion or shall we say with zero acceleration. So kapag hindi kasi nag-accelerate, so therefore constant motion yon, so constant yung velocity. So hindi na natin siya sinama dito since madali lang naman siya, pero pag constant yung motion, so the formula is just simply velocity is equal to the displacement over the time t. So ganun lang siya kasimple. So, ngayon, dito tayo sa with acceleration, no? Kapag yung motion is affected ng acceleration. So, under this one, so we have two categories, no? One with constant acceleration. So, na-encounter natin to kadalasan, no? Yung example nito is when we are dealing with problems na about free-falling bodies, no? Which is yung particle natin is actually affected by the acceleration due to gravity. So, we assume that the acceleration on that scenario is actually constant to be 9.81 meters per second squared, no? And then the most general type of motion, no, which is this one, yung variable acceleration. So meaning to say, pabago-bago, no, erratic yung motion ng ano natin, yung particle natin. So ang mahalaga lang dito class is yung familiarity, no, sa mga formula na ginagamit and then kung paano silang ginagamit sa mga problems. So unahan na natin sa familiarization sa mga formula. So we have only 3 formulas na kailangan tandaan under each category. So, start muna tayo sa constant acceleration. So, the relationship between velocity v, acceleration a, time t, and then displacement s is etong mga ito. Okay, so let us start with the first one. So, that the final velocity, which is denoted by v, is equal to the initial velocity, v naught, plus the acceleration times the time interval t. Okay? So the next one is that the displacement s is equal to the initial velocity times the time t plus 1/2 acceleration time t squared. Now, VOT plus 1/2 AT squared. And then the last relationship is yung without the consideration on time t, that the final velocity squared is equal to the initial velocity squared plus 2as. Okay, so dapat familiar na tayo dito, no? Or dapat familiar tayo dito when we are dealing with problems, no, under ng rectilinear motion. So anyways, this one is actually derivable, no, using these formulas, no, under variable acceleration. So ang gagawin mo lang dito, integrate ka and then you assume that the acceleration a to be constant. So madederive natin ito. Okay? So anyways, discuss lang natin, no, yung mga relationship dito. So that the velocity v is equal to ds over dt. So wherein yung velocity v dito is yung tinatawag nating instantaneous velocity, no? So meaning to say, ito yung velocity at that specific time na hinahanap, no? Ito yung value ng velocity at that specific time. So next one is the acceleration. So this one is the change in velocity over the change in time t, dv over dt. And then the last relationship is this one, VdV is equal to AdS. So no need to memorize this one because ito lang naman yung dapat na alam mo, tapos makukuha mo na rin to. So papaano? So we will just divide these two equations. Pag dinivide natin yan, anong lalabas guys? So wait lang. Okay, so divide natin V over A. So magiging ds over dt. Okay, over dv over dt. So magka-cancel. So magka-cross multiply. So lalabas v dv is equal to cross multiply a ds. Okay, so meaning to say, kahit wag mo na tong kabisaduhin. Okay, so yan yung mga formula natin. No? Take note that this one is the instantaneous velocity ha. So we might encounter kasi yung tinatawag na average velocity. So iba yon. So yung average velocity is just simply the change in position or delta S over delta T. No, change in time. No, in here we are dealing with certain amount ng change in time and then certain amount ng change in position. Dito kasi sa instantaneous, no, maliit na change in time and then maliit na change in position. Pero pag average velocity ang pinag-uusapan, so ito yung gagamitin natin. Okay? Or just simply displacement over the time interval t. Okay, so para mas ma-appreciate natin yung mga formula presented, so I think we shall proceed na no, with our sample problems. Okay, so start tayo situation 1, guys. So, ang sabi dito is what? A truck traveling along a straight road at speed of 20 kph is or increases speed to 120 kph in 15 seconds. So what is the constant acceleration and then determine the total distance traveled. Okay? So actually class, no, bago tayo mag-start, there are difference no between the term distance saka displacement. So mas maganda i-present natin siya in general discussion. So let's say for example, we have here 2 points no, initial point niya, point A, and then ito yung final point niya, point B. And then yung path taken niya, no, general discussion lang muna. The path taken is actually following this direction. So ito yung dinaanan no, ng particle from A to B. So pag sinabi natin distance, so yung distance is referring to the actual path taken no, nung particle. So that this one is the distance. Okay, so pag sabi naman natin class na displacement, so that is actually the straight line connecting no the initial and then yung final position. So this one is the displacement. Okay? So bakit kailangan i-discuss yan? Kasi magkaiba kasi pag pinag-uusapan is yung speed saka yung velocity. No? But this one is the general discussion. Pero 'di ba sabi ko nga, itong topic naman natin na ito is actually about no straight path lang siya, 'di ba? Rectilinear motion. So straight motion lang siya. So meaning to say there is some cases na parehas yung distance saka displacement. So discuss lang natin muna bago tayo mag-proceed dito sa sample problem, which is madali lang naman 'yan. Okay, so nasa na ba ako? So sabi ko nga magkaiba kasi yung speed saka yung velocity. Pag sinabi nating speed, okay, ito yung distance, okay, over time. So in general discussion, ito nga, kung ito yung dinaanan niya, okay, ito yung kukunin nating value ng distance na ilalagay sa taas. Okay? While kapag ang pinag-uusapan naman natin is velocity, so dito naman, displacement. Okay, over time. So ito yung gagamitin natin, no? Yung straight distance between the initial and then yung final position. Okay? So yan yung difference, guys. Pero sabi ko nga, no, we are actually dealing with ano lang naman, straight motion. So there will be cases na magkaparehas lang yung distance saka displacement. Pero meron pa ring time na magkaiba sila. So bigyan lang tayo ng certain example. Let's say for example, ito yung initial point A. And then for a certain time t na nag-travel siya, lagay tayo ng time. Let's say time t is equal to 2 seconds. So lagay tayo time 1. So after 2 seconds, let's say nakapag-travel siya ng 50 meters. Okay, so lagay natin. Ito na yung point B. And then for the another time, so nag-travel pa siya another 1 second. So nag-travel pa siya 1 second and then straight motion. So T2 is equal to, lagay natin, 1 second. So nakapag-travel siya ng another distance, let's say ito naman is 25 meters. So napunta siya dito sa point C. Okay, so ito yung lumalabas na initial. Ito yung lumalabas na final. Okay? So, pag tinanong kita guys, so what is the distance? Ano yung distance dito? So, yung distance dyan is actually yung 50 plus 25. Okay? Which is what? 75. Pag tinanong kita, what is the displacement? Okay, ano yung displacement? So, connect natin yung initial saka yung final point using a straight line. So, in that case, this one is still 50 plus 25. So, 75. So, in this case, magiging parehas yung value na ibibigay kapag tinanong is speed sa kapag tinanong is velocity. Okay? So, yan yung isang case na magiging parehas. So, saang case naman sila hindi magiging parehas, guys? So, kapag ganito. So, kapag nag-travel from A, nagpunta kay B, again, with time is equal to 2 seconds. As ang travel distance is what? 50 meters. Tapos, after another 1 second, so let's say ito yung point B, drawing ko na lang sa baba, and then yung naging tinravel niya is backwards, no? So instead na mag-proceed siya to the right further, so bumalik siya. Okay, so ito na yung point C. So this one is what? Time 2 na 1 second, tapos bumalik siya ng 25 meters. Okay, in that case, kahit straight motion yan, kahit rectilinear motion yan, magkaiba na yung distance sa displacement. So, pag sinabi nating distance, so that is the total length nung dinaanan niya. So, that is still 50 plus 25. Kapag displacement, so that one is yung straight, no? So, ito yung A, dito yung C. So, ito yung straight line connecting the initial and then yung final. So, in that case, ito na lang siya, which is what? 50 minus 25. Okay, so is that clear, guys? So, magiging parehas lang ang distance at displacement if the particle is actually moving in one direction, no? Isang direction lang siya nagmo-move. Pero kapag nagkakaroon na ng negative velocity, meaning to say umaatras siya, so magiging magkaiba na yung distance sa displacement. So, okay. So, sana gets yun, guys. Sana gets yun. So, now let us proceed na. Baba ko na nga lang to, guys. So, balik na tayo sa ating problem. Ayan. So, in this scenario, wala naman sinabi, no? So, let us assume that the particle is moving in just one direction. So, sinabi rin dito, guys, na ayan, constant acceleration. So, yung analysis natin is yung first part ng discussion natin kanina. So, what are the given class? So, we have here the initial velocity, 20 kilometers per hour. We have the final velocity, naging 120 kph daw siya. At what time interval t? That is after 15 seconds. So, tinatanong yung acceleration, saka yung total distance. So, distance is the same as displacement for this problem. So, lagay natin S. Okay? So, ang mga given class dun sa mga choices natin is actually is in meters per second squared. No? So, therefore, we must convert first yung velocity natin in terms of meters per second. So, how do we do that? So, we will just multiply that one by what? So, this one is kph, no? So, multiply this by, so 1 kilometer, so that is 1,000 meters. And then, multiplied by, so per hour, so dapat nandito yung hour sa taas. So, 1 hour, 3,600 seconds. So, palitan nga natin ito para clear. Kilometers per hour. Okay? So, para mag-cancel ang kilometers, magka-cancel ang hours. So as you can see, parang yung 20, kung gusto mong shortcut, parang dinivide mo lang siya ng 3.6, no? Kasi ito, 1,000. So, 3,600. So, parang dinivide mo siya ng 3.6 kung gusto mong shortcut. So, this one now is how much, guys? No? Kung i-convert natin in meters per second. So, that one is 5.555. Okay, 5.555. Lagyan ko ng bar since continuous yan. So, meters per second. So, let us just store this one sa ating variable sa calculator. Let's say, for example, sa A. Okay? So, this one, kayo na lang gumawa. Divide mo na lang ng 3.6. So, this one is 33.333. So, may bar. So, meters per second. So, store na lang natin ito sa B, sa calculator. So, for number 1, acceleration yung tinatanong. So, anong relationship ang gagamitin natin? Now, we have velocities. And then, yung time t, hinahanap ito. So, yung first relationship, no? That the final velocity is equal to the initial velocity plus at. So, simply plug in the value. So, this one is B. This one is nasa A. So, plus A times 15. So, all units naka-meters na and then naka-second. So, definitely, the acceleration na makukuha natin dito is in meters per second squared. So, how much is that, guys? So, sagot is 1.85 and so on. So, ito na lang in 2 decimal places. So, ito yung sagot natin. So, let us just store this, let's say, for example, sa C. Kung baka gagamitin pa natin siya later on. Okay, para exact yung sagot natin. Next, number 2. Displacement or distance S. So, anong formula yung gusto mong gamitin? So, you can actually use any formula, no? Pwedeng yung second, which is ito. VOT plus 1/2 AT squared. So, try nga, guys. Since naka-store naman yan. So, A times 15 plus 1/2. Acceleration nasan to, guys? Nasa C. And then, times 15 squared. Okay, so ilan yung total distance traveled after 15 seconds? So, ito isagot is 291.67 and then in meters. So, correct. So, what if we don't want to use yung time t, no? So, another relationship is what? Yung final velocity squared is equal to the initial velocity squared plus 2as, no? So, this one is what? Nasa b squared is equal to nasa a squared plus 2, ito nasa C, and then hinahanap yung S. So, syempre, dapat same value lang na 291.67 meters ang makukuha natin using this formula. Okay, so the same lang. So, gets ba yun, guys? Gets? So, kung gets, let us now proceed sa ating next problem. Okay, so situation 2. So, sabi dito, an automobile starting from rest speeds up to 40 meters per second with a constant acceleration of 4 meters per second squared, and then runs at this speed for a time, and finally comes to rest with deceleration of 5 meters per second squared if the total distance traveled is 1,000 meters. Number 3, so find the distance covered during the acceleration. Number 4, find the distance traveled at constant speed. And then lastly, find the total time of travel. So as you can see, no, kung binasa natin yung problem, we are seeing yung changes in motion, no? So maganda ito class, ma-visualize muna natin. So drawing tayo ng straight path na dadaanan niya and then analyze natin segment by segment. So let's say for example, the automobile starts at A. Okay, so sabi, ang initial velocity niya is what? Walang sinabi pero ayun no, yun yung clue. Starts from rest. And then nag-speed up siya up to 40 meters per second. So how do he do that? So that nag-undergo siya ng constant acceleration of 4 meters per second squared. So between A and some point B, let's say for example, ito yon, point B. So ito yung dinaanan niya, no? So velocity niya, initial, 0. Nung nasa B na siya, naging 40. Okay? So nangyari ito with an acceleration of, tawagin nating A1, acceleration of 4 meters per second squared. So of course, meron siyang distance na matatravel, so tawagin natin yun as S1. And then meron din siyang time na magagamit to travel yung distance na from A to B. So tawagin natin T1. Okay? So kaya tinawag natin tong A1 para T1 and then S1 ito. So after that, no, anong daw nangyari? He travels, no, or he runs at this speed for a time. So there is a certain time t na nag-travel siya with constant velocity. So there is no acceleration or zero acceleration. So let's say for example, that is from B papunta sa some point C. Ito 'yon. At pagdating sa C, still velocity niya is 40 rather, no? That is because the acceleration between B to C, tawagin nating A2, is actually 0. Okay, gets ba yun guys? So therefore, the distance traveled is tatawagin nating S2 and then yung time taken tawagin nating T2. Okay? And then last part nung sinabi sa problem, no? And it finally comes to rest, no? So yung final velocity niya magiging 0. Nangyari daw yon with a deceleration of 5 meters per second squared. Okay? So that is what? From C, mag-travel siya ng certain distance up to point D. So pagdating niya dito sa D, yung velocity niya is 0. So nangyari yon because the acceleration, tawagin nating A3, is actually 5 meters per second squared. Pero sinabi deceleration, na bumabagal. So that is what? Pag sinabi natin deceleration, that is a negative acceleration. So lagyan natin negative 5 meters per second squared. So therefore, meron siyang distance na matatravel again, no, during that period. So that is tawagin nating S3. And then yung time interval para sa C to D is tawagin nating T3. Okay? So, ang sinabi, no, if the total distance traveled is 1,000, so definitely the distance from A papuntang D, ito yun. So if this one daw is 1,000, okay. So yun yung mga tinatanong. So yun na yung graphical representation ng problem para mas magets natin siya. So para masolve natin to class, isosolve natin to segment by segment, no, iisa-isahin natin. So let us just first write the relationship between the distances S1, S2, S3. Anong relationship nun guys? That S1 plus S2 plus S3 ay equal sa 1,000. So yung first relationship na makikita natin sa figure. And then ano pa yung another relationship? That yung total time t, tawagin nating t na lang, is equal to the T1 plus T2 plus T3. Okay, so ngayon, let us analyze segment by segment. So for the first segment, no, from A to B, so nag-undergo siya ng constant acceleration. So we can use yung mga formula presented a while ago, yung kanina, yung first three relationship, no? So anong given? Kasi kailangan natin syempre itong T, no? Kailangan natin itong S1 kasi hinahanap to, di ba? Find the distance covered during the acceleration. So ito yung tinatanong na yun, S1. So, paano natin kukunin yung S1 if we have the initial velocity, final velocity, and then acceleration? No? Hindi natin magagamit yung equation 2 kasi wala pa tayong time 1, na wala pa tayong T1. So, what we can use is yung equation 3 natin kanina. So, lagay natin. For A to B, so gagamitin natin yung equation 3 that the final velocity squared is equal to the initial velocity squared plus 2as. Okay, so just simply plug in the values. So, this one is what? 40 squared, 0 squared, and then plus 2. Acceleration is 4, and then unknown is s. So, ito magiging ano to class? S1 yan of course, no? So, ilan yung S1 guys? Okay, so S1 is equal to 200. Okay? So, which is what? Ito na yung unang tinatanong. So, we have answers for number 3. And then that is letter B. Okay, so we are correct. So, dito ba chinek ba natin kung tama tayo? So, ito no, 1.85, correct. Then, the other one is 291.67. So, still correct. So, hindi pala natin na-check kanina. So, anyways, going back. Ayan na yan, oh, for A to B. So, for A to B, pwede na rin natin kunin yung time t. So, paano kukunin yung time t, guys? We can use yung second equation, yung S is equal to VOT plus 1 of AT squared, but that is too long, no, para gamitin. So, ang gagamitin natin yung first equation, yung mabilis lang, that the final velocity is equal to the initial velocity plus AT. So, final velocity being the velocity at B, so this one is yung 40. Initial is 0, and then acceleration is 4, and then yung time is yung T1. So, ilan yung T1 dito, guys? So, I think 10 seconds. Okay. So, hindi pa naman yung hinahanap, pero gagamitin natin yan later on para makuha tong total time T. Okay? So, next segment naman tayo for B to C. So, for B to C, ang motion dito is what? May ano ba? Acceleration? Wala, no? So, meaning to say, ito yung constant motion, no? Constant velocity. So, para sa constant velocity, ang relationship na gagamitin natin is what? Distance over time lang. Okay, so we have the velocity 40, and then yung distance is what? Yung S2, and then yung time is T2. So as you can see, wala ka makukuhang value dito. Tama ba? Kasi dalawa yung unknowns, no? Isa lang yung equation. So wala ka naman ng ibang pagkukunan kasi yan lang talaga yung relationship kapag ang motion is constant motion na walang acceleration. So dyan ka lang pupunta. So, meaning to say, ililib muna natin tong ganito class. No? Baka later on, may makuha tayong value para mabawasan yung unknown dito. Okay? So, iwan muna natin siya, guys. So, punta muna tayo sa 4C to D. So, C to D, ito is under constant acceleration ulit. So, I think we can use yung same approach na ginawa natin sa A to B. So, start tayo. So, V squared is equal to VO squared, then plus 2AS. So, final velocity for segment C to D is, di ba naging 0 siya? So, nag-start siya ng 40 at C. And then, plus 2. The acceleration is what? Mahalaga yung sign. Negative 5. Okay? And then, yung S, yung S3. So, therefore, makukuha pala natin yung S3 dito at ilan yan, guys? So, this one is what? 160 meters. So, hindi naman hinahanap yung S3, no? Kasi ang tinatanong sa number 4, find the distance traveled at constant speed. So, that is what? Yung S2. Ito yung hinahanap. Pero wala pa tayo, di ba? So, anyways, continue lang natin to, guys. So, final equation is yung initial velocity, final velocity is equal to the initial velocity plus 80. So, that is what? Naging 0. Nag-start sa 40. Ang acceleration is negative 5. and then yung time is yung T3. So, how much yung T3, guys? So, I think this one is 8 seconds. So, balik tayo sa B to C. Okay? So, wala tayong S2, neither yung T2. But, we see meron na tayong S1, meron na tayong S3, at meron tayong relationship between S1, S2, and then S3. So, kung papalitan pala natin ito, guys, ng 200, ito ng 160. So, may makukuha pala tayong value na magagamit natin for B to C. So, yung S2 ay equal saan, guys? So, lumalabas, that is 640. 640 and then meters. So, actually, ito na yung tinatanong for number 4. No? Find the distance traveled at constant speed. So, yun yung sagot. Correct. And then finally, we have S2. So, pwede na natin ipalit yan dito. So, 640 meters. So, definitely, makukuha natin yung time taken, no, to travel S2. So, how much is that, guys? That is what? 16 seconds. Pero hindi pa yun yung tinatanong. Ang tinatanong yung total time. So, finally, we can solve for that. That is what? T1 plus T2 plus T3. So, that is 10 plus 16, then plus 8. So, I think this one is 34 seconds. So, ito ba yung tamang sagot? Okay, so yun nga, no, 34 seconds. So, we are correct. Okay, nagets ba yun, guys? Nakita ba yung sinulat ko dito? Parang natakpan ko yata ito kanina, no? So, anyways, ayun siya. So, gets. Okay, so let us just solve another one problem before we end this video and then continue our discussion on the next video na lang. So, para mas ma-absorb natin yung idea. So, last sample problem tayo, guys. Okay, so situation 3. So, sabi dito, an automobile is driven at 30 miles per hour for 12 minutes. Then at 40 miles per hour for 20 minutes. And finally at 50 miles per hour for 8 minutes. So, nagbabago-bago yung motion niya. Pero at specific time intervals, ang motion niya is actually constant. Hindi siya nag-undergo ng acceleration. So, tinatanong dito is calculate the average speed over the interval. And then, the next one is how fast must the automobile move in the last 8 minutes to obtain an average speed of 35 miles per hour. So, pinag-uusapan yung average speed. In this case, mapa speed, mapa velocity, average velocity. The same lang siya sa problem na to, kasi nga, wala namang sinabi na bumabalik-balik siya. So, parang one direction lang siya. So, pwede nating pagpalitin yung speed and velocity dito. Pero, anyways, ayan. Ano nga ulit yun? Yung formula? Speed. Diba that is what? Distance over time. So, lagyan natin. Distance over time. Ngayon, kapag ang tinatanong is average, okay, ang gagamitin nating formula is actually this one lang. Papahabain lang natin yan, hindi lalagyan natin dito. Total distance over total time. Okay? So, the same with yung isa, average velocity. So, total displacement naman yun over total time. Pero dito nga kasi sa problem na to, same lang yung distance saka displacement kasi wala namang change sa direction ng motion. So, parehas lang sila. So, anyways, bago tayo mag-proceed sa computation, let us just analyze. So, let's say, for example, nag-start siya sa A and then nagpunta siya sa B. That is what? For a time of 20 minutes, lagay natin, or 12 minutes pala nakalagay na, 12 minutes, nag-travel siya with a constant speed, no? Lagyan na lang natin velocity na lang or V. So that is what. Tawagin natin V1. Ito, gawin natin time 1. Ito, tawagin natin S1. Okay lang ba yun, guys? So that is what? 30 miles per hour. Okay? And then, for another time, which is yun nga yung 20 minutes, so nag-travel siya from B to C. Tawagin natin T2. 20 minutes. So, nag-travel siya with constant speed or velocity. Na ilan yan, guys? 40 miles per hour. So, may mata-travel siyang S2. Then, finally, C to D. So, this one is yung time. Tawagin natin T3. 8 minutes. And then, yung velocity niya, 50 miles per hour. So, meron siyang distance traveled na S3. Okay? So, first question nga, calculate the average speed. So, ito kasi yung possible na maging cause ng error nyo, guys. No? Kapag nagmamadali kayo at nakakuha kayo ng 3 speeds, no? V1, V2, V3, baka pwede mong gawin is ganito. Average mo lang literal. So, V1 plus V2 plus V3 over 3. So, pwede mo kasing gawin yan, di ba? Average nga naman yun ng mga speed. That is what? 30 plus 40 plus 50 divided by 3. So, ilan yan, guys? I think ang sagot dyan is 40 miles per hour. Which is what, guys? Ang nakakatakot dito. Nasa choices yan. Okay? Ang gagawin mo, since sure ka na dyan, guys. So, ang ginawa mo, shade mo nga yan sa answer sheet. Okay, madiin na madiin. Sure 1 point. Which is what? Mali yan, guys, no? Hindi yan yung correct answer. Because kapag ganyan ang ginawa mo, you are actually solving for the average of speed. Okay? Magkaiba, guys, yung average speed sa average of speed, no? Pag sinabing average of speed, yun nga yung literal na i-average mo yung mga speed niya, no? Average ng mga speed. Pero pag average speed, ito yon. Total distance over total time. Okay? So, baka maging ganun lang yung gawin mo. So, anyways, how do we solve for the distances dito? So, since we are dealing with constant motion, so this one is what? VT lang, no? Yung mga distances, mga VT lang sila. VT, ito VT rin. Lagay natin VT sub 3, ito VT sub 2, ito VT sub 1. Okay? So, ang gagawin lang natin dyan, guys, is we will just simply substitute yan dun sa sa distances dito. So, ito kasi di ba maging to? S1 plus S2 plus S3 over yung total time T1 plus T2 plus T3. So, papalit lang natin yan, guys, no, yung mga given. So, magiging V1 T1 plus V2 T2 plus V3 T3 and then over T1 plus T2 plus T3. Okay? So, this one is pretty direct substitute na lang. So, ilan yan, guys? So, V1 T1, lagay nga natin. So, ito 30 miles per hour. So, we might convert yung T1 sa hours muna para makuha natin yung distance in miles. No? Pwede natin gawin yon. But later on, makikita mo na pwedeng hindi mo na siya gawin kasi makaka-cancel out lang naman yun, no? Yung units nung time. Pero for the meantime, para exact yung solution natin, so convert natin. Yung T1 is what? 12 minutes. So, gawin natin in hours. So, gawin natin 12 over 60 hours na para makancel yung hours. Then, continue. V2. Ilan yan, guys? 40. So, hindi ko nalagay yung unit dito, no? 40 times 20 over 60 hours. And then, plus 50. And then, 8 over 60 hours. Okay, so divided by total time, yung 12 over 60 hours, 20 over 60 hours, plus 8 over 60 hours. So as you can see, yung sinasabi ko guys, no, pwedeng hindi mo na siya gawin sa solution mo kasi nga makakancel lang naman to, yung over 60. Okay? So anyways, ayan na yung tinatawag nating average speed. Which is what? How much ito guys? So that one is equal to 39 miles per hour. Nakikita pa ba yung sinusulat ko? Ayan, no? 39 miles per hour. So ito na yung sagot natin. No, hindi 40. Which is what? Nasa choices rin ito. And then that is letter B. So correct. Okay? So sana gets. So the next question is what? Madali na lang to, no? Backstop na lang to. So how fast must the automobile move in the last 8 minutes to obtain an average speed of 35 miles per hour? So kung gusto niya daw na yung average speed ay 35 miles per hour, ilan daw yung magiging dapat na velocity niya or speed niya for the last 8 minutes? Nasaan ba guys yung last 8 minutes? Ito ba yun guys? Ayan yun, no? Last 8 minutes. So try natin. So copy ko na lang ito. Okay, so gitna natin. Ayan. So mangyayari, papalitan niya daw to. So ilan daw dapat yan, no, sa last 8 minutes para pag kinuha yung speed niya ay magiging 35 miles per hour lang. Okay, so gets ba yan? So meaning to say, the solution is the same. No? So dito lang din tayo babagsak. So kunin nga natin to guys. So ito pa rin yung solution at ito pa rin yung average speed. Ano lang mangyari guys? Magpapalit lang yung given sa yung unknown, no? So copy ko na lang to para mabilis lang. So mangyari, ang magiging given dito is ito. So sabi kailangan daw ito is 35 at ilan daw ito. So tawagin nating V sub 3. So definitely masolve natin backwards yung V3 na required. So ilan yan guys? Okay, so lumalabas that the required velocity sa last 8 minutes ay dapat 30 miles per hour. So ito yung sagot natin guys. Okay? But the problem here, okay, but the problem here is that yung 30 ay wala sa choices. So walang 30 miles per hour sa choices. So mali ba yung ginawa natin? So walang mali sa ginawa natin, tama yung konsepto natin. Pero baka lang ambiguous lang yung sinasabing last 8 minutes, no? Kasi ang analysis natin, ito yung sinasabi niyang last 8 minutes. Okay? Na kailangan 30 siya doon, 30 miles per hour para pag ni-recompute mo, yung average speed magiging 35. Kaso wala sa choices. So what we can do is, what if yung sinasabi ditong last 8 minutes is magdadagdag ka ng additional 8 minutes at ang tinatanong, how much yung speed niya dun sa additional 8 minutes na yon para pag sinolve natin as a whole, yung lalabas na average speed ay 35 miles per hour. So we can do that, no? So wag tayong mag-shade na lang ng nearest. So ito pinakamalapit 20, baka typo 30 yan. No, wag ganun guys. Try natin. So what if ganun pala yung gusto niya mangyari, no? Yung sinasabi ko. So balik tayo dito. So ang sinasabing last 8 minutes ay yung magdadagdag pa siya ng 8 minutes. So si D2E. So time 4. 8 minutes. So ilan daw yung magiging velocity dito? No? Tawagin natin itong S4 na equal sa VT sub 4 na para yung average speed ay magiging 35. Gets ba yan, guys? Yung sinasabi ko? Kita ba yan? Okay, kita. So, ayan. Pwedeng ganyan yung scenario, no? So, what we can do is i-resolve natin. So, therefore, average speed ay equal saan? S1, S2, S3, S4 over total time T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus T4. So, maging what? V1 T1, V2 T2, V3 T3, and then V4 T4 all over this one. So, copy ko na nga lang to, guys. Okay. So, definitely, we can direct sub na lang to, no? So, gusto niya magiging 35 ito. So, what is what? Ito, copy ko na lang to. Para mabilis lang, guys. So, same lang naman. Anong mangyayari? Magdadagdag lang tayo dito ng V4 T4 na 8 over 60 rin. Which is magka-cancel din naman to later on. And then sa baba, magkakaroon ng additional 8 minutes. Yan. So, baka ganyan, class. Now, we can try. Wala namang mawala. So, what is yung required velocities doon sa additional 8 minutes kapag ganyan yung nangyayari, guys? Pag ganyan pala yung gusto niyang sabihin. So, ilan yan, guys? Pakitry. So, using that equation, no, ang lumalabas required velocity ay 15 miles per hour. Okay? So, which is what? As you can see, from the choices, ando doon na yan. Now, that is letter C. So, we might say that this one is the correct answer and then that one is the correct analysis. Now, yung last 8 minutes pala is etong additional 8 minutes. So, ilan daw yung velocity doon para pag sinolve as a whole, ito yung mareresolve na average speed, no? 35 miles per hour. Okay? So, this one now is our answer. So, that ends our first video, no, para sa dynamics. So, next video natin, sagutan natin yung remaining problems pa regarding sa rectilinear motion. And then we will proceed na dun sa another topic na under rectilinear motion, yung mga free-falling bodies. So for the meantime, paki-aral lang muna ito and then hopefully nag-gets niyo yung ating discussion, guys. So thank you guys for watching and then see you next time and then God bless.